Welcome to the December recording of the new format of SomeCast. I think that's what we're still calling it. That right, guys?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
It's held true so far. Let's keep it going.
All right. Well, because this is the first one, just a quick on who's in here. I'm Cameron. There is Raymond, Luke, Mark, and Nick joining us. No idea what icons we're going to have up on screen for them because we haven't made them yet. Anyway.
I would like a Labrador as my icon, please. Thank you.
You will have the opportunity to choose whatever you want.
I have chosen a Labrador.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alright,
I tried hard for this moment.
I'm gonna start us off on the opening topic this week, or this month, more so, of about, if anybody's seen the articles, the new Super Smash Bros. Game has been leaked online nearly 2 weeks before release. Now, on top of the part where this is just blatantly piracy, I think there's a more underlying one here, and I think from my point of view, the bigger concern is that it's really ruining the experience of starting this game and going through it and learning it as a community.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, 2 weeks in advance, that's pretty shocking for any leak, really.
Have you tried not looking at the leaked news?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't looked at any of the leaked news, but, I mean, I already knew what the game was going to be like partially because I watched one of the earlier tournaments earlier on in the year. But,
I'll be honest, the entire plot for Game of Thrones, the final season, has been leaked. Have I looked at it? No.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to not have leaked stuff is not to look at it.
Just turn off your router. Who needs
Disconnect
internet?
from the internet for
this
a
day
while.
and age, like who needs the internet?
Correct.
Exactly. Who needs that mobile phone you take to work every day? Just throw it in the bin and talk to someone for a change. Now, let's face it, none of us are going to manage that. And I think it is very disheartening for us, particularly either new and old fans trying to enjoy the game, because ultimately, I mean, the only real silver lining is that the poor sods who try to make a sob story saying, "Oh, I just felt like I had to do it to get the views" and all that sort of thing. All of them are going to have their accounts shut down by YouTube.
Actually, that's impressive of how hard Nintendo has hit them for that, of outright account bans because of that.
Exactly.
I mean, it's Nintendo. They're notorious for banning people for their shit.
And yet, we didn't even get a copyright request on the Pokemon video, so they left that completely untouched.
Or maybe it's because we've had like 3 viewers.
One day.
They haven't found us yet.
But I was actually thinking the other side of this that you sort of lose and is the community being able to, as a group, go through and find and learn all the secrets. Like, I don't know how many of you remember back to when, actually the strongest one I've got is when Skyrim launched, and you honestly had a solid month where you could go to just about any online forum and find people talking about it, and it was genuinely because everybody was still discovering stuff. Now, in the past, Smash Bros. Games have typically had a fair bit buried in them in various places. Either characters that weren't super well detailed beforehand, or unlocked through very specific secret means, or just outright other secrets within the campaign and so forth. Now that it's been leaked so far in advance, that opportunity's been completely struck down, because you're not going to be able to filter out of every forum discussion people that have gone and looked at the leaked footage. You've literally got a situation now where if you're a fan of the game and you want to talk to other people about it, you run the risk on every conversation that they're going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, too right you are. And honestly, that's one of the difficult parts too. Is the whole point of being one of those streamers that brings that sort of content and things to you in these early stages is you have to discipline yourself to show certain things at certain times so that you don't spoil it for those who are either starting late or just are not as fast as others. But of course, there's also a method for keeping it up so your page and things does well. But yeah, this sort of thing where someone outright gets a hold of the game 2 weeks in advance, immediately starts streaming, and just ruins it for a bunch of people. It's just uncalled for. I think most of the comments I read from people on YouTube comments and things was that most of them just feel like they've been cheated out of the game before it's even begun. And that's a hard thing to reclaim for Nintendo, because basically they've built this hype all around this game for almost about a year now, and now all these people who were so excited for it probably going to load up that game on the first day they get it and be completely underwhelmed, and probably, I mean, they'll still play the game, but the reason for buying the game is no longer there.
But like, a Smash Bros. Release is a pretty major event for
It is a very major
everybody. Like, if you're a Nintendo fan of any kind, a Smash Bros. Release is a pretty major event, and this has just murdered so much of the potential hype around that. Not so much coming into the game, but the run from the game's release for the next couple of month or so, when there's going to be such a massive buzz around it, and all of a sudden you've time shifted that for separating everybody out into the two groups of, did you indulge in leaked material, or did you decide to wait until the actual game came out?
And judging from the number of people who are in an uproar, looks like a lot of people indulged.
Yeah, and...
Or maybe they thought it was like first impressions video, first look, that type of thing.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they've now been strapped in for a 20-minute video, which has accidentally spoiled the whole story.
But
Look,
that's
if
the
you're
thing.
20 minutes in, then you would have figured it out by then.
But like, the other side of this is, I know there are places reporting that review copies haven't even been released yet. So there's not a single one of those videos that's an actual legitimate reviewer. Every single one of those videos is because somebody pirated the game.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Like if you take Kotaku's view on it, they said they haven't even got their copy to review yet.
Yeah.
So that's saying something about how early this is.
And I think that's part of the reason why Nintendo is able to take all these guys really hard on YouTube, because they've all pirated the game, and they basically just admitted to it.
Exactly.
So they've got no defense to the fact that they're getting YouTube accounts shut down permanently, and therefore the YouTubers themselves will be losing their monetization status and everything out of this.
I know, but the amazing thing is, if you listen to some of the YouTubers and the way that they talk about and try to make reason for why they did what they did, when it boils down to it, all they say is, "Oh, I thought if I did it now, I would make my channel look better." And then at the end of the discussion, they say, "Oh, but my channel is now being shut down." It's like, so was it worth it? And the thing is, some of them are
I've just got to get my
yes.
5 minutes of fame.
Well, that's the thing. Albeit, yeah, sure, there's a lot of fame to be had if you do it that early, because let's face it, no one's going to be expecting it, so people are going to be flocking from every which way. But the fact of the matter is, whatever you get from that, it's now worth nothing, and you've lost everything that you worked hard on for the last however long that your channel's been up.
Tell me, Gul'dan, what must we give for spoilers?
Well,
everything.
Honestly, that's exactly right. They have given everything, and now they have to basically start the stuff from scratch if they're even allowed to. Who knows how that sort of thing works these days?
Did anybody actually think it was a good idea to piss Nintendo off of all
That's
publishers?
the thing. Every single person, every single review I've read from people who have made a comment on it, people who lost their channels, all said, I debated about it for a few minutes and then said to myself, oh, I don't want to screw Nintendo over. But then they said, oh, but then I thought, 100,000 views, I'll take that and screw Nintendo over.
Yeah.
So they just did a 180 in a 5-minute discussion and contradicted themselves. And then they said, but that's okay. I feel like I've done my duty. It's like, yes, you have now ruined your YouTube career. Good luck in the future.
Yeah, but Nintendo's got a long-standing reputation, well-earned, for destroying channels that screw them. And
exactly.
This is no different. Of every single one of those channels would have known what they were in for. Like, you're not that involved in the Nintendo community without having heard about how much Nintendo takes these things like to town. They just the number of videos that Nintendo has copyright claimed over the years has got to be in the millions.
I think you're most likely right there, and that's why it's just so unfathomable that people actually believed they could have got away with it.
And I gotta admit, this is also bringing up thoughts about another one that's been mentioned a few times, of how EA handled the Battlefield release of having such a staggered release rollout. Of like, was that really such a good idea to have a slow staggered rollout depending on what version
it was a
of
good
the game
idea
you
for
bought?
us.
Yeah, we did well out of it, but like because we picked it up through Premiere, but I don't know. Like, I think that's harmful to the community, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but even on the actual night, I was unhappy about the fact that EA was releasing this early.
No,
I do agree. I don't like things being released early for certain people. I mean, from a content maker's perspective, it was good because we suddenly got an influx of views, and the one person who's watching this missed the train, buddy.
Yeah. But I've always had an issue with early access as a whole because, but this wasn't early access. This was flat out the game being handed out earlier and more than a week early. If you were bought Premiere versus the Standard Edition.
And that was the thing too. Normally when you see those sort of early access things, it's normally people who buy the really expensive bundles that get first dibs. I mean, even though Premiere was one of their special cases, they were trying to get people on board with Premiere, so I can sort of understand why it came first. But even I'd have to admit, I'd feel pretty cheated if I bought one of their deluxe editions or whatever. I can't remember what the highest one was for Battlefield, and I was second place.
Yeah, deluxe got a bit screwed over.
Yeah, I gotta admit, like, I don't think we would be taking as much issue with it if it had been like 2 days difference or something. It's like, oh well, okay, fine. You want to hold something for your more special editions, go ahead if that's the way you really want to do this. Okay, EA, it's a bit of a bastard move, but okay. But the fact was, it was more than a week.
Exactly, and that's a week of trying to, if you really want to, avoid any sort of spoilers on the game, or you can't beat the addiction. You sit down and watch it for a week, and then when you finally play the game, the hype is gone. It's no longer as entertaining as what you would have been if you could have played it when everyone else did.
And like, functionally, the most expensive way to buy the game was the deluxe edition, and they even ended up second.
I know, and I can't believe that. That's honestly, I think they would feel the most cheated out of everyone.
At that point, it's not even a money thing. This is just EA being EA.
Yeah, they had an alternative motive, and that was to get Premiere to be the most popular thing out there. And they said, "Well, let's reward the people who got on our bandwagon and give them first dibs for a week."
Beep.
Yeah.
All aboard.
Yeah, I understand that they did it and they got their Premiere numbers up, and it was a good strategy for them. But like, the issue also is the game got extended out. Like, the release date got moved back, so that 1 week extra that people are getting, technically that should be their release date anyway. So they pushed it back a week further just so they can push more Premiere.
Normally I would be right on that bandwagon as well, saying that this isn't a case of Premiere getting it early, it's everybody else getting it late. But given how much was missing during that week where it was just Premiere, it was... Maybe they actually genuinely haven't finished the rest of this. Or they've got the weirdest staggered release timetable I've ever seen, because like half the game modes weren't even in the game. It was literally Conquest and Grand Operations.
Not even all the Grand Operations.
Yeah, it was basically just
all forward there.
It was basically just like a superseded beta.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying before. Just they're using us to test their servers.
We're out of beta, boys.
Like, to throw it over to another game that I outright know intends to do the same thing is Star Citizen, but it makes sense with Star Citizen because they want a staggered release so that they don't have, as an MMO, they don't want everybody rushing out of the starting zone at the same time, because that's just going to murder the everything, the economy, the servers, the PvP, everything is going to crash and burn under that sort of circumstance. So that's why they want to do a staggered release. But for a first-person shooter that is completely contained within matches and is all on separate servers, I have no idea why they needed to do this.
Well, I suppose the time will tell as to whether or not this ends up becoming a routine thing that they do with their next major release, or if this was just a once-off because of Premiere.
Well, that's the trouble, isn't it? The gaming community, well, not the gaming community, the gaming developers have a way at the moment that when someone does something, it gives free rein to everyone else to try it out as well. Not saying everyone will, but if EA did it once, they'll probably do it again, and there's a good chance that anyone else will give it a shot just to see if they can. Because they won't have Premiere, so they can't do the same thing as EA, but they might make it that deluxe packs get it more than 2 days early.
But, like, I'm pretty sure we can all guarantee that there is somebody at EA whose job right now is to work out whether or not this was a financial success for giving it to Premiere early, and if that decision is, actually, this worked out really well for us and our Premiere numbers are through the roof, they're going to do exactly the same thing when Anthem releases next year, because that's probably their next game on the card.
But it won't be as good the second time around, because anyone who wanted this thing immediately will have bought Premiere this first go around, which will still be available, or their Premiere membership will still be running when Anthem comes out.
Yeah, but
so it'll only be to get new people in, which may not be as big a hype.
Unless they just got like 1 month of Premiere just to get it early.
But then you lose the game after a month.
Yeah,
Unless
but then
you
you can just
purchase
get the
the
base
game.
game.
Purchase the game and got yourself a month of Premiere.
if you had picked it up right, you would just be able to walk into Christmas sales when Premiere ran out, and all of a sudden, oh well, we'll just pick it up at Christmas discounts.
Ho ho ho.
Okay.
I'm curious how that works. Like, do you get to keep all your Premiere bonuses and all your outfits and stuff?
That's the interesting one, actually, because there's a whole bunch of shit that we only got because we were Premiere, and
I'm gonna
If
dap
the
a fucking trench coat as a German healer.
if the subscription lapses, but you buy the game normally, do you lose all that?
I don't think so.
No idea.
I have a feeling they wouldn't do that.
Someone test it
If it was
us.
If it was a full expansion DLC that you didn't buy, I'd understand not having that when you buy the game. But I think if it's cosmetics, I think they'd let that slide, because it wouldn't be a big money changer for them.
Well, unless they're logging every cosmetic as a separate purchase, which.
But I guess if it's part of like a Premiere bundle where it isn't actually available unless you're Premiere, I suspect if you unlock it, you unlock it.
Yeah.
Someone's parked his boat on top of the Horde emissary. Could you get out of the way, please?
I don't know
Thank
if
you,
any of you
sir.
guys have heard, but I read this just today. Apparently, since the release of Bethesda's new Fallout 76, 'cause you know how much of a train wreck that was with.
Was it a
with
train
the beta
wreck,
and
was it?
everything.
Yeah, it didn't go too well for them.
Well,
I've heard nothing about it.
If you
Which
played
is
the
not
beta,
good.
if you played the beta, you pretty much were max level by the time the beta was over, and you were already finishing the end game bosses.
Wow.
Including the super rares. But one of the things I read about today was that apparently, because of some of the mixed feelings had about the game and its release, they were offering up, what was it? In a way, free
Agobby.
refunds to people who
Oh.
asked for it. It's sort of a small promise that they apparently made, but recently they've apparently gone back on that slightly and
Oh,
are not allowing it for people who bought the game
believe
digitally.
You've done this.
Digitally?
If you bought the game as an electronic copy and not a physical, you do not qualify for a refund if you ask for it.
I feel like digital would be the easiest to refund.
Exactly,
Maybe that's why.
which is why
Yeah.
it begs the question of why that would be the one that they choose to not give a refund to.
Is this Bethesda doing the refund, or
This is Bethesda who gave the promise of doing refunds.
yeah? But like, if you bought a physical copy, do you have to take it back to the store that you bought it at to get the refund issue, or do you go through
Hard to say.
Bethesda
You
to
have
get
to
it?
reach out to Bethesda to ask for it, so I'm not entirely sure how it works per se.
I think that
Um,
sounds like it's gonna fuck with EB and JB.
It
Yeah,
does sound it, doesn't it?
unless EB and JB are the ones who are doing it.
Yeah.
EB and JB are so fucking disappointed in 76 that they're like, you know what?
If you don't
If
want
you want
it,
to
give it
refund
back.
it, bring it back. It's okay. We don't mind. We don't like it either.
Don't want it, give it
we
back.
We have a bin here specifically for that game.
I can join the ET game from the 80s on the Sega.
Look, if it's EB Games, they'll be like, oh, we'll give you a refund, but it has to be store credit and go towards a pre-order.
And unless you're a level 4 member of the card, in which case we can actually give you your money back, but only if you're a level 4 member of the card. Or
You say
5
that.
or whatever it is.
I mean,
That's
you say that.
4's max level.
You say that. I'm level 4, and they still won't do that for me.
Oh, really?
Are you level 4? You spent like $5,000 at EB.
A lot of pre-owned games.
I could pull up the number, but I
Holy
don't want
shit!
to.
Yeah,
Um,
that's-
Just on level
get-
3.
I'm guessing you've actually been like doing it properly and using your card the whole way through, Luke.
Oh yeah, I have 3 cards.
What?
I have
Why?
3 cards. I don't know. For some reason I have 3 cards.
Is this because you got, like, the Warcraft card?
I do have
Yeah,
that one, but also
yeah.
I also have 2
I
of the other
forgot
cards.
to get that. I was so upset.
Yeah, Luke and I got one each, but Luke couldn't get it because of his level 4 status. All the level 4 cards like basically sold out instantly.
I'm so
So
upset.
what we did was I got Luke to make a new account as a level 1, and then I went in and asked for the card. So he's got a level 1 card. That's the Horde version. Well, not Horde. You got Alliance, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
You got it,
unfortunately,
so-
I'm
Alliance is
misrepresenting, but
better.
that's okay.
Yeah. So he got
Alliance
Alliance
is
one,
better.
but his level 4 card doesn't have an equivalent.
That's okay. I was showing off my card to the girl at the counter the other day, and
Oh!
she seemed impressed.
Did you get
I,
it?
I,
Oh.
I thought myself her just barely lying.
How
Like,
tall was
look at
she,
my
Luke?
Warcraft card.
It was
Now
my
scan
height.
this other card, please.
Look at my Warcraft card. Now, what's your number? Did you ask me
Yeah.
for a number? Because retail staff love that.
Did
I
they?
can confirm. I worked retail. I loved it.
Did you have?
You loved it when men showed their cards to you and asked for your number.
Yeah. It
The
made
pin
my
number.
day. They showed me their bank card and then told me the PIN number, and I'm like, oh, I love you.
Oh my
Thank
god!
God for wireless money. Yay.
This number's 1 digit short. That's my bank balance.
Ooh, oh.
Oh yeah, and that's a decimal.
Oh good god!
Sad now.
Like
On a tree.
I'm saying that in talking about a gaming company that isn't doing, it's not necessarily a new released game, but they're not doing a stagger release of this particular feature. RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2, is releasing their multiplayer mode tomorrow.
Really?
Yes,
How's it multiplayer?
online multiplayer.
Yeah,
is
but
this just
how?
like is this
End
just
up
like
in the same
GTA Online?
I
Yeah,
think it is. Yes, I think it's like their next little money grab because
Oh,
you know
they-
how well GTA 5 does these days.
Well,
Yeah, but how are they going to get as much money as they did in GTA?
I actually don't know, but I'm
Because-
sure they'll find a way.
You still be able to buy
Make
money.
it mobile.
How are you going to have stunt races and shit with fucking horse carts?
Especially with how demented those horses are.
Dan, have you ever played Red Dead 1 online?
No.
No.
It was basically just the same thing as GTA, just Western.
I
And
suppose,
you
I suppose
had-
the
you had
aiming
duels
and
and
everything's
that
pretty
as
much the
well.
same, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
it's true, the duels. I remember those.
It was basically the same thing. You had horse races and carriage races and all that normal things.
There was also horseshoe throwing and everything, wasn't there as well?
Arguably a bit of the slower game, but
Horseshoe throwing was your thing, wasn't it, you fuck?
kinda. I only got 1 out of every 10.
But, the reason why I brought them up was because as an example of probably a proper staggered release for them, tomorrow's release is for the deluxe members, and then your whatever the second tier members was, and then the standard members the day after. So I suppose in a way, EA could, well, hopefully take a sleep out of their book. I think it feels better.
If you're gonna do a staggered release, it's better to do it over a shorter period of time. But I still think that leaves up to debate whether or not you should even be doing a staggered release.
I mean, let's face it. Unless this is like separate from the game, or hell, even opening up a whole friggin' new game size, which let's face it, they could be. I think a stagger release at this point seems a little bit tedious, considering they already sort of had their stagger release back when the game originally came out.
Yeah, it's like, and this is just for the sake of giving a pre-order bonus to a certain kind of edition.
Yeah, it lets the people who bought their deluxe ones feel that little bit of superiority just a couple of days ahead of the standard player.
But in this regard, though, it's just an online version. It's not like everyone else got the main game on the same day.
Yeah.
So it's more of just an added extra.
Yeah.
But I think I think with the staggered release, it all comes down to how well they communicate it. As long as they're not hiding it and telling you one person gets it on this day, and then when it actually comes out, you realise someone else got it a week before because they did it through, for example, Premiere.
I have noticed that. I mean, we played Premiere, and yeah, my level ain't that high, but there are some people who did have Premiere, and their levels are 10, 20 above us.
Yeah, but I feel like
we are like 10, 20 above people who got the game 2-3 days ago.
Yeah. I think in the stagger releases, I still think a week's a bit off. But I think if you're going to do it over, like, say half a week, it being the worst case, I think so long as they communicate it well enough that people know that if they don't get this version, they don't get it that early, I don't think it's as bad as if you just sort of just leave it up to chance or only tell people after the fact.
I still think it's inherently less desirable than just having a release across the board, but
yeah, because I mean, after all, the whole point of you buying like your deluxe editions isn't to get the early access half the time. They save that for more PC sort of related games with Steam and all that. The whole point of buying the deluxe stuff is that you see something in the bundle that you like, hell, season pass or something like that, and you get it for that reason.
Gets you moist.
Exactly. There's no reason at all for them to have necessarily the perk of getting early access over someone else, because they already have a perk.
That rocks my socks.
Yeah. Actually, got another one for you guys.
No.
So
yes, but my opinion will be no.
There's currently well, we're on the last day of the Steam Autumn Sale at the moment, and part of it is the Steam Awards thing. Did anybody else have real difficulty actually picking nominations if you did the nominations?
I did the nominations, and I YOLO'd half of them. I'm pretty sure I suggested Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes as Game of the Year.
Well, actually, that's honestly the one that I found hardest to do, Game of the Year. It's like, to me, Game of the Year should be something that came out this year. Well, ideally should be something that came out this year.
I tried to select Red Dead Redemption, because I heard the plot was really bloody good. And I love a good plot. Hashtag watch it for the plot. But it didn't come out on PC. It came out on console.
Yeah. I gotta admit, I had a couple of criteria. It's like, it's got to be a game I've played this year, because I actually had to take it down from it's got to be a game that came out this year, and it's got to be a game, like, that was the key thing. It's got to be a game I've played this year. It's
got to be a game.
But
this is the start of my criteria. It has to be a game.
I ended up looking at it. It's like there aren't that many games that came out this year on Steam that I would give Game of the Year to.
You make a fair point, I suppose. Nothing really is stand-out decisions.
Like, some of the other categories were easy enough. Like, VR Game of the Year was piss easy to give, in my opinion.
Saber.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer as far as I was concerned.
Beat Saber.
But
I didn't even think twice about that one.
Slime Rancher VR.
I'm gonna have to say no there.
I actually legitimately could not think of a single game that I said, you know what, that came out this year. I've played it really heavily, and I think it's a really good game for Game of the Year that came out on Steam. Because I think I've spent most of this year playing, well, anything that's newish release or been majorly updated this year on other platforms.
I've played too much WoW. I say this as I'm shooting fucking crabs and pelicans to keep them off some turtles.
What?
I'm gonna assume that Nick is in the same boat as me, as I went on Steam, saw Steam Awards, and I scrolled past it and didn't vote for anything.
Yeah, more or less. I spent actually a while trying to figure out. I was trying to add a game to my card or add it in some way, and I, for some reason, couldn't find the add button. All I could find was the Steam Awards button.
Nice.
I'm not sure if that's something that's glitched up on my end or.
Maybe you're just bad.
Yeah, could be an overlay problem.
That's
Or
what I
you're
was
just bad.
thinking, but I could go to the DLC for the stuff easier, but I couldn't go to the game itself. I don't know. There's a random tidbit there, but no, I haven't really bothered.
Bit.
Tid. No. No, but I haven't actually bothered doing any of the voting for it, only because I don't really worry too much about it.
Do you get anything from it? Do you get cards
You
or
get a
something?
badge.
There's a badge out of it, but like, can you guys think of a game that you would say, yep, that was Game of the Year as far as I
Alright,
was
let me
concerned?
look at what I voted for Game of the Year, because I think I made a joke, and I think I actually voted for something that came out this year. Let me look.
I
Who did I
just
nominate?
opened it up, and highlights
Oh my
was
God.
We Happy Few, so I just voted for that.
Oh.
But you said you didn't like We Happy Few.
No, that was Raymond said that.
No, I put Game of the Year as Undertale.
You haven't even played it.
No, I know, and it didn't even come out this year.
Actually, you're just about on record as not liking it.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I am actually.
Have you actually played it?
Nope.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of the mysterious entity known as Tales Under.
Common misconception. Undertale.
Panic.
And you make a fair point, and the issue that we have with a lot of these games on Steam at the moment is, realistically, there hasn't been anything groundbreaking that came out on Steam this year
It's a
that
real fucking
wasn't
chestnut.
previously found on or released on another major console or platform, where where basically we just say, no, that's where it originated from. It's not really part of Steam. Steam was just the next place where it got sold.
Well, but
What
even
did you,
then, like, there's so many of the major headline games, well, what I would call the major headline games this year, that even if they were a PC release, they were on something else. They were on Battle.net, or they were on Origin, or God help us, Uplay. But, like, Steam wasn't their major storefront, and yeah, I ended up giving it to a game that wasn't even released this year, and but it was probably my most heavily played Steam game this year.
Was it
Warcraft?
Euro Truck Simulator?
Well, no, I actually in Crazy Town gave it to Skyrim yet again.
You're just after another free copy.
No, I own Skyrim too many times already.
I still have not ever finished the game.
No, neither have I. But I was without internet for a couple of weeks early at the start of this year, and it's amazing how much, like, how easy it was during that time to just get back into Skyrim and have Skyrim fill that gaming, fill that entertainment hole when all of a sudden, you can't watch Netflix, you can't play other games, and you've got basically nothing set up because you've just moved to your apartment and most of your shit's not really here yet.
I'll be honest, Skyrim bored me.
It bored me on my second playthrough.
I bored me on my first. I tried so many times to play the game, but I couldn't. It just I could not stay engaged with the plot or the characters. And it was quite upsetting because everyone's raving on about how good Skyrim is and how much fun it is, and I'm sitting here going, where is it good? because I'm not seeing it.
Skyrim's still way up there for me personally, because like even now, having so many 100 hours in it, and I think it's only outed by Call of Duty, if not, it might have even taken over Call of Duty now in my most played time. Like, even now I go back and play it and go, shit, I've actually never come across this quest before, or I've never gone through this cave. I'm actually checking it right now. It has actually finally outed Call of Duty.
I'm disgusted. You need to play Call of Duty immediately.
Oh yeah, for 6 hours apparently. To get it to
main menu.
To just catch up.
I don't even think you can search games by release date. Oh, there we go, release date. Disregard.
I actually have a good chestnut for you. In that Steam voting page, for those who voted, who did you put as the best developer?
That was really hard to pick. That was really hard to pick.
Are you saying that because you found it legitimately hard, or because you just didn't think anyone was worthy?
You're unworthy.
The guys I wanted to give it to weren't registered as a developer to give it to.
Okay, who are they?
I'm trying. Most of them were like individual indie devs, but turns out you had to use like an actual publisher style developer.
Yeah, I was going to say, indie has its own category.
Yeah, but like, where was the indie one? Anyway, I ended up giving it to Devolver personally, not because specifically any game of theirs really jumped out at me. It was just that of everybody that was on the list, they're the one that list of options. They're the one that I do come back to and say, you know what, they actually just did well for PC gaming this year.
I gave mine to the creators of Civ 6. Okay. Not the best developers in the world, but in regards to how they've handled Civ 6, I'm very pleased. And how they've continued to communicate with the players of the game, both on the Reddit and in the forums, and the updates they're implementing. Gathering Storm, come at me.
Look, I just did a search for release date, and I'm going to give it to Forklift Simulator 2019.
Nice. Alright, hang on. Okay, so what did you do? You went games?
Oh, don't even try it. You go games, release date, and you just get garbage. You get, like, hot girl puzzles and random stuff.
Baby.
Well, you know it's based on your own search history.
No, let's be honest. There is so much shit on Steam now.
I love it so much.
Like, I'm on the front page of Steam right now and it says, view all 11,586 titles on sale.
I refuse to believe that exists.
11,000.
Oh, actually, I know who should get Game of the Year. Wallpaper Engine. Create your own wallpaper.
Can you hear the echoing silence?
Yeah, because it's a really good game. And
actually, I'm just flipping through the new releases list on Steam. There's a couple in here that I actually recognise and go, oh yeah, that's actually probably a real thing. But some of this is just like, what the serious shit?
Look,
like,
Sexy Puzzles gets the best alternative history award.
Wow.
I much prefer Propaganda Llama.
Oh,
there we go. We have an anime with very prominent personalities.
It's okay, Raymond. You're allowed to say tits on stream.
No, you're not. It's banned. I didn't say... Cameron, what's your language? It's so crass. I didn't say that. I said personality.
Ooh, anyone see that they've released new info on the mini PlayStation?
Oh, what have they said?
Looks like a big list of games.
As in Is it like 20 that it's preloaded, or is there?
Yeah,
are they saying
20
there's actually more?
20 games have been included.
Yeah, I do remember looking through that list at one stage and thinking, you know what? I don't even recognise half these names.
I'm looking at it. I recognize most of the names. I've never played most of them, and I probably still wouldn't.
Isn't like Final Fantasy VII on there for like the 70th time it's being released on something?
Yep. And Destruction Derby.
Isn't Final Fantasy essentially
Which was
just
not a
Skyrim
good
at this
game in
point?
my opinion.
Oddworld.
They remade that.
Yes, they did, Cameron.
Cool Borders 2.
They remade that game. Oddworld.
I mean, people probably like those games. Like, they're probably top games somewhere. It's just games I probably wouldn't buy a PlayStation Mini Classic to play.
Yeah, I don't know about. Well, actually, Mark, you were a Nintendo person, weren't you?
Yeah.
But as a PlayStation kid growing up, like I'm gonna say it, like to me it was Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, the Army Men games, an insane amount of Digimon World, and
Army Men games! Fuck!
um,
Those were the shit!
Driver 2 actually was also way up there in terms
Yep.
of playtime.
I had Driver and a joystick and a wheel.
Oh yeah.
I had a light gun as well. I played Time Crisis and Die Hard.
Did anyone...
Oh, yeah.
Oh god, Die Hard. I got curious, because I heard they released a game for it, and I looked at it. It looks weird.
Like the PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah. Good game. Actually, did anyone ever play Conker's Bad Fur Day?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you like it?
I mean,
Yep.
yeah, it was okay. I was a
Did
kid
you
when I
want it?
played it, so... I mean, yeah.
A
wasn't
lot of
that
the
excited about
references
it.
in that game went over my head. Another game I went back and looked at out of curiosity, and I'm like, oh my.
But
Why
now we can
and
see
how did my dad let me play that?
we are now seeing the development cycle that has led Mark to going from Conker's Bad Fur Day to basically softcore porn on Steam.
VR Girlfriend Simulator.
VR Girlfriend Simulator, alright. That's the good shit. Yeah,
I just need the VR.
the good, as the cool kids would say. The
Hey.
good push.
Nick, for $900 you can get good quality VR.
Talking about Mark though.
Oh, Mark, for $900 you can get good quality VR.
I mean, I feel like
How
you're
much
gonna.
can I pay for, like, low quality VR?
$20.
Have you heard of strapping a phone to your face?
That's exactly what it is. Have you seen a Google Cardboard? It is literally just you strap a piece of cardboard holding your phone to your face.
I mean, I'm down.
You're down to get up. Ahoy!
Alright. So, what's everybody been playing the last couple of weeks?
Wow.
What have been your games chewing your time?
Civ 6, actually. I've been playing some Civ 6.
Look,
With
you
the
don't want to
announcement
know.
for Gathering Storm, no one cares, Mark. With the announcement for Gathering Storm, I thought I'd give Civ 6 Rise and Fall one last hurrah before the game gets changed. And by one last hurrah, I mean start 3 or 4 games that take several months to complete because I accidentally fucked up the turn settings and it takes hours to complete. Instead of having the turn settings on a normal speed.
And how
Well,
does this make
that's-
you feel?
Okay.
That's a better response than I was expecting.
It's just that one era, if you fuck up, one era will take 150 turns to get through.
I'm not sure.
Accidentally.
I'm not fully aware of how turns work in that game. How long
That's
is
okay.
150?
Buy the game and I will show you.
You could just tell me now and save me the burden of buying the game.
Buy it
Some
in a
say
summer sale or winter
some say
sale.
like a year in the game is worth a year in real life.
It is, yeah.
How do you survive?
So you start at 8,000 BC.
Okay.
Turn 1, you have no cities. You start with a settler, a warrior. Settle a city on a river, preferably on a hill. And then you end your turn. That's your
Okay.
first turn. So turn 2, typically you build a scout, and you end your turn, because your warriors... The first 15 turns go like that, real quick.
I suppose the real question I have is when you end your turn, how much time passes?
Oh, piss all. Until
all.
you get to turn 300, and it's the end of the game. And you can see everyone do everything.
Okay. So on the lead up to when you eventually reach turn 300, how much time has passed from 8,000?
Well, normally you're at 2150 AD, of course.
Hmm.
They're actually
okay.
adding 100 years onto the game, so the game will finish at 2250 now with Gathering Storm. They're adding future tech.
Okay, and how many more turns would that roughly add to the game?
I'm going to say another 100 if you do it on
Really?
standard speed.
Oh, okay, so there's... Okay, that makes sense.
When I was talking before, I meant marathon speed. Marathon speed makes the game take 3 times as long. There's normal speed, slow speed, marathon speed, standard speed, and quick speed. Quick is fastest, standard is slightly slower, normal is normal, and then you've got the slow speeds. The slow speeds you want to do if you have a huge flight to, say, England, that's the game you start. You start a game like that when you're flying somewhere that takes 10 hours and you have nothing else to do. You play on quick or standard if you're going to be playing with friends. You do not do anything slower than standard. People get bored.
Yeah, it's the opposite Monopoly. Instead of wanting to kill each other because you're winning, you just want to get away and let the other person win.
Kill
so the
yourself.
match is over.
You just want to leave.
Just jump out the plane. Fuck.
Yeah, screw the computer. The computer can stay and enjoy this hell I'm getting out of here.
But in between turns, if you're playing by yourself, will take 30 seconds most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing with humans, there's no time in between turns. It's turn, 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 turn. Everyone does their turn at the exact same time if you do the settings correctly.
Okay.
And if you
get
wanted
ahead?
No. Everyone
Okay.
must end their turn for the turn to advance.
Okay, so
But-
there's still a chance you could lock yourself into a long turn if someone's indecisive.
Yes, but there is a way to counter that because they implemented a turn timer in Civ 5, which was probably the greatest innovation the game ever had.
I imagine it would
Where
have been.
it forces you to end your turn if you take too long.
Is that because of inactivity or simply because of a
I
countdown?
don't know. There's just a clock in the bottom right that ticks down to 0. It hits 0, the turn ends.
Alright, makes sense.
And you can set the timer, so you can have like a 5-minute one or like a 2-minute one. Or you can have a dynamic timer where each era you progress through will add 30 seconds to the clock. Because, as I said, those first 15 turns go past real quick because you've got one town, one warrior, and maybe 2 scouts. So it's really fucking boring if you have a 3-minute turn timer that you can't skip because some bozo's thinking about how they wanted to plan their next city 30 turns from now.
They're playing chess 50 moves ahead.
Yeah, it's James. James, we played a multiplayer game of Civ, and it was James. He just would not end his fucking turn. So we restarted and put on a turn timer, and he was furious. But yeah, Civ's a really fun game if you have the game speed up.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
That's what I've been
Everything
playing.
you've said has made me not want to play it more.
Okay, well that's your opinion, and however wrong it may be, that's fine.
And now, we're inclusive to Mark.
Yes, remember, he is a special case. If we all do play it, he will come along too.
No, he wouldn't.
I mean, maybe if I got it for free.
You're not getting it for free, you're paying for it.
Alright, well then Mark, what have you been playing the last week or so?
Look, that's why I said you don't want to know.
I do want to know.
Now
I'm
we want to
intrigued
know.
now.
I mean, you know what it is. Mobile RuneScape.
And how goes your scrub warrior?
I mean,
savage.
I'm all three. I'm a warrior, mage, range.
What?
Age
no,
range.
that's not how RuneScape works.
That's
Yes, it
exactly
is.
how
Focus
RuneScape
That's
on
works,
exactly
unless
how
you
it
do
works.
PvP, and
No!
if you level
No!
one spec too high, then you're fucked. You're too high of a level and low attack.
No! I only ever spec mage.
Yeah, but
And
then
then I
that's
start
expensive. You
specking-
got to buy all the runes to level, while melee is just hit stuff with a sword.
Unless you do an insane amount of rune crafting. Actually, is it?
You say that, but my rune crafting is level 50, and that actually takes a fair while.
Yeah. I do remember it being ridiculously slow. Is it the, 2007 Classic or whatever it is, or is it the modern version of RuneScape that they brought on mobile?
Yeah, old school RuneScape, so it's the clone of '07.
Ah, okay.
Apparently RuneScape 3, there's a mobile version out, but it's still beta, but they'll eventually bring it out free to everyone to use.
Yep.
That's what WoW should have done. Just re-release World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
mobile.
WoW should just re-release Classic.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Fuck, why has no one ever thought of releasing WoW as a classic game mode?
Why hasn't Blizzard released a mobile game?
Liam? Where are you? Liam, when did you get in here?
It's okay. You guys can all enjoy Diablo Immortals.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to enjoy Diablo Immortals.
Is it like the Chinese game where it's freemium, where you gotta pay for microtransactions, or you actually buy the game?
Like, you guys might not remember this, but Diablo 3 was pretty much microtransaction hell at the beginning of it. Because, the whole thing was laden with it, because the game was built around this real money auction house where you had to pay other people, and Blizzard took a cut out of every transaction for their stuff.
You're describing the Warcraft auction house.
No, as in you had to pay actual real money. Not gold, your actual real dollars.
Yeah.
With your credit card details. So, and if you wanted to be super functional up the top end, it was basically required because that's how it worked. Anyway, what about you, Luke? You normally have interesting games on the you've recently played list.
Rocket League.
No, I've actually been spending quite a bit of time on the PlayStation 4, reliving some of my childhood games. One of which was remastered recently was a game I originally played on the Xbox called Resonance of Fate. That one's style of combat is very unique to other games that I've played, and has a lot of fun real-time aspects to it. Back when I first played it, it was by far one of the most difficult games I'd ever actually attempted. Even more difficult than Dark Souls, which I was playing almost similar at the same time. Or maybe Demon Souls, sorry. And I've noticed, and it's something I like because I found a similar thing of Spyro. When you play something again after this amount of time, and you have those little flashback memories of of the times you're like, oh, I remember when this boss used to be difficult, or oh, I remember when I made that mistake back then. It all culminates together, and you find that this game, in particular for me, has been a much smoother experience. Like the very first time I went through it, I hadn't realized that in the game you have 3 core attack mechanics. One is a pistol for direct damage, a machine gun for scratch damage, and a grenade for direct damage and blast. And the core mechanic to leveling up in the game is leveling each of these 3 abilities up independently for each of your 3 characters. When I first played it, I basically left people with their starting weapons, so 2 with pistols and 1 with a machine gun, and played through the entire game like that. The point that I was trying to force myself to face off against the last boss at level 40. Scratch that to now, where I was only up to chapter 11, chapter 12. I was facing off against one of my favorite bosses, and one of my characters alone was level 60, and all of my 3 traits were evenly split. And the reason why I found the fights in this game so much more smoother this time around was that replaying the game again, I remembered the silly mistakes I made, but not properly understanding the core mechanics of the game back all those years ago. And reliving the remaster, I'm enjoying the game more because, in my opinion, it's a walk in the park. Plus, it's 4K. But I mean, let's face it, the graphics are very beautiful in the game. But even though the game is super easy, the childhood memories of all the times I struggled in the game is why I've been enjoying playing it again.
I have to admit, when I watched the video you put up on Facebook, I was actually a bit disappointed that one fight you showed on the bridge only took you 40 seconds.
Well, you see, the interesting thing is, that particular fight, the reason why I put that one up there was because back when I did that fight several years ago, that fight took me 10-15 minutes to finish because I simply had to spend that much time trying to figure out how not to die in my next move. Whereas in that time around, I was twice the level, and my character actually went in with a plan. He didn't go in with a submachine gun and realize he couldn't do direct damage, and then have to reload and go back an entire chapter. That was painful. A painful memory.
I admit that I do like going back and playing the older games for that, because there's a lot of games from our childhoods that I'm pretty sure we only thought were so insanely difficult or nigh impossible because we didn't know how to play them.
Exactly, yeah.
Because the best way to figure out how to play a game was to buy the walkthrough booklets.
The walkthrough booklets.
Yeah. But I actually even remember doing that still while I was sort of a kid, because there was games that I would play, like, I'm trying to remember when, like, it would have been really young, and then even like 2 or 3 years later would go back to it. It's like, oh, I actually sort of understand how this works now, and now I can go back to them now and play it even better. And it's especially games that either had a remake or a remaster, or actually outright just a new addition into the series. Like, to throw one massive example out, and this is actually from last year, was there being a new Digimon World game. Like, I played the hell out of that series back when I was a kid, and like when I first started it, I had no idea what I was doing, and I wasted so much. Well, in hindsight, I wasted so much time doing what was ultimately complete shit. And but I hit the new one running and got to enjoy that. It really was quite a good game and had quite a bit of depth to it, but also it wasn't just throwing my head against the wall and slowly winning because of persistence, not because of actual ability. It's actually understanding how the game played. And yeah, I gotta admit, you just sort of notice that with a lot of these. And to reuse the other one you said, Spyro, the number of levels that the only like I'm getting out 100% the first time, not because, oh shit, I already know this. It's just that you've learnt tricks over the years on how to do this more efficiently and make sure that you actually do cover everything.
Exactly. Over the years, we've all built up that gaming sense now, where we could get thrown a whole new problem from one of those old games that the developer says, "Hey, I'm going to throw this in there for a bit of fun." And we would probably go and pull that thing apart, find an easy solution, and have it solved in a fraction of the time that it would have taken us if they would have thrown that problem back to us when we were 10, 11, even younger, perhaps. And that's what I really like about playing remasters of old games, is that you relive those moments, you remember exactly all the hardship that you went through, and realize exactly how far you've come. And I mean, it's one of it's probably not seen quite as well from people say, oh, it's just a game. What more can you see of it? But it's similar to how people would see their career or something that they do in art. When you first started out, it's not the greatest thing in the world, and you probably have many opportunities where you think, oh, you'll give up and just stop doing it altogether. But after you do it for a few years, you get that sense of familiarity and experience behind it. Even the smallest problems become an easy thing that you can just pull apart and solve, even with no prior knowledge. And that's similar to how games are. We can jump into any game these days and basically, with even no experience, pick up a controller and know, yep, I know the basic controls to this game because of this. It's this type of thing. It's an FPS or something like that. So I know what my shoots, my crouch, my prones, all that sort of are. I know how to reload, and once you have the core mechanics down, the rest of the game is just unraveling and the developer telling you a story. Those core mechanics were never there when you were younger. It was impossible to pick them up. So now that we have them at these older ages, we can more appreciate what the developers have gone and made for us, and that gives us more inspiration to keep playing the games as they come out, because we want to experience more new stories. Because there's no longer the hardship of, is that even something I can even get past the first level?
Yeah.
It's funny though, because I've actually, upon watching a lot of new gamers with it, mainly being I've watched our older brother Luke try and play games and all that, and I think I can actually deduce the one thing that's changed between when we were younger versus now, and that's that I don't think we have tunnel vision anymore.
Oh yeah.
We can actually, like, the one thing I noticed with a lot of new players is they don't notice the mini-map in the top left-hand corner or wherever it might be. They don't notice that you can, take in a lot of information, not just focus on your main character in the center of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, I think you can actually start to realize that as you get more accustomed to games, you notice that you don't have to focus on the center of the screen. You can look anywhere and everywhere. And that helps you to visualize stuff better and actually get a grasp of what is going on.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If you don't see the full picture of the screen that's in front of you, because let's face it, the whole point of them making a user interface for your character is they expect that you're going to be able to see everything that's on that display at any moment in time and be able to react to it. And yeah, it's just like you say, if you're a new player, it probably takes you a long time to realize how to get that gaming sense of, I should be looking at that corner. Oh, hang on, something's flashing over here. I need to make notice of that.
Of course, we are sort of it is probably a lot easier nowadays because of the fact that now I can play it on a screen that's 55 inches big, whereas I used to play it on a TV or almost monitor that was 1/10 the size of this way back when.
Oh yeah, the old square monitor.
It's much easier to see things on a screen that's this big than it is.
And that's flat and not oval shaped.
And doesn't have the rest of its hardware built into the back, sticking out like a sore thumb.
Oh yeah. But in saying that, if you go to industrial sites, you still see plenty of those little things still kicking around. They're still alive.
Yeah.
And some people are still forced to use them.
Because a lot of the time they were built into part of the machinery.
Exactly, you just can't get rid of it because otherwise all of it goes away.
Yeah.
It's unrelated to what you're saying, but also related to what you're saying. As Cameron said, being a Nintendo kid, just going back to the old games and just thinking, how the hell did they make these games on 32 megabytes? Nowadays you get a disc 32. With 2 gig max on it, and then you get 100 gig download.
32 meg is nothing nowadays. That's like 1 JPEG. And
it's a full fleshed out game that's better than half the games made now.
I've still kept my old PlayStation 1 and 2 save cards, simply because I love looking at it and going you look at the save card and it's 10 megabyte or whatever it might have been, and you go, a megabyte? What's a megabyte? Is that bigger than a gigabyte?
You're saying that, but I just you saying that made me pick up my USB, and it's this is 64 gig, and this is a quarter of the size of the 1 meg memory card that was my PlayStation memory card.
And more reliable.
Yeah, actually, those things are terrible. They're the first thing that dies.
They are.
Memory card.
I don't know if you guys have managed to keep your old consoles running, but my PlayStation 1 runs fine. The memory cards are shit.
It's almost impossible to keep keep those things alive. And the problem is, because literally everything about your game, your progress, everything, it has to be stored in that stupid flimsy card. The moment it dies, you just feel that massive wave of sorrow come over you as you realise that all that time and effort was wasted.
Or you have the other option, it doesn't die, you just get to watch each and every block get corrupted one at a time.
Yes.
Go into it and just start trying to delete old saves, and you go, oh good, 64% of this thing is corrupted.
Nice.
Cannot even delete those blocks.
I mean, the difference was, though, that some parts of those things that were corrupted, they didn't necessarily spread to everything inside. It was just some parts of it that were, some games. But the problem was, if I remember correctly, the corrupted bits were actually bigger than the original size of what the game save data was. So if you actually can't, if the more of the corruption that you get throughout your card, the less space you have to even do anything with it anyway.
Yep, you can't format that thing.
Yeah.
You can just call it smash it and move on.
Actually, on the matter of consoles, has anybody, like... It was going to be really interesting to see what the next generation ends up doing. Because one of the biggest selling points for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One was that they were going to an x86 format, and therefore were basically just PCs. They were especially hardware PCs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the next round of consoles come around, and I think we're kidding ourselves to think that they're not going to do another round eventually. I really think we will see a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox 2 or whatever the hell they call the next one.
Xbox Zero.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. The Xbox negative 360. If they decide to stick with that again, then there should be really no reason that any of your old stuff isn't forward compatible.
Well, if they do it really soon, it's going to be a waste for them not to have that sort of feature in it.
You're talking about the fact that they'll still be using Blu-ray discs.
But like, all of your games are x86, like coded as x86, so they should in theory be able to run on new hardware.
Exactly.
And even in saying that, the actual consoles, the only reason they wouldn't be able to recognise new hardware is because Sony or Microsoft artificially restricts it. Not because there's actually a genuine reason that they can't.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but, you know, Xbox is basically backwards compatible.
Yeah, but they didn't start with that. They built that in over time. And they've had to specifically do work on just about every game, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, they're reworking their games.
Yeah, but for the next round, they should, in theory, be able to just say, you know what? Our entire back library is actually still compatible.
Yeah, and that's the thing about all the digital games too, like, it just would be ridiculous if they don't make them compatible.
Yeah, it's... Like, you know, I don't see a circumstance where the PlayStation 5 doesn't include a Blu-ray disc drive. And if they do, then why the hell wouldn't we be able to just put in our PlayStation 4 games if it's still an x86 console, which there's no reason for them to go back the other way after having made that jump. They've proven that it works, and it works well for them to come closer to being a PC than going further away. So, honestly, I'd be putting it down entirely to it's a monetary decision if they decide not to. They think there's more benefit in not giving it, not that there's an actual technical limitation.
Yeah, it ultimately comes down to whether or not they believe that people have a value in still making use of their PlayStation 4s, or if they believe that everything should just be migrated over and just put, like, the day the 5 comes out, a discounted price for trading in your 4s.
Yeah. The only thing I could imagine them doing is to start doing it as a hop sort of system, like how most of your PS4 games... all of your PS4 games are both Pro and PS4, maybe for a while what they do is release the games and actually say, you know what, the PS4 Pro can still run some of these.
Yeah, make a smooth transition in a way for those people who may be reluctant to start off as on the 5.
Yeah, because they did that with DS games. Nintendo did that for DS games for a while, from memory of. There's a slow build-up of games becoming more and more exclusively compatible with the newer systems.
Yeah, and it's really the right way of doing it, because if you force people onto those things, you're going to get people's very mixed reactions, because people are going to be like, oh, well, let's face it, most people don't like change, and if you force it on them in one instance, they're going to hate you. But if you do it in a nice, smooth transition, people will be more receptive.
So what are you talking about? Because, like, you know, when, like, the PlayStation... Are they up to PlayStation 4 now?
The 4 is the current one, 5 will be the next.
Oh, is it? It's still 3?
No, 4 is the current PlayStation.
Yeah. So, like, when the PlayStation 4 come out, you could buy the 3 version of the game and the 4 version of the game, but, like, that 3 version was not playable on the 4.
Yeah, but, like, there was a real technical reason there of they changed the format of the process, the architecture of the processors and the graphics cards from a very, very different format to what they are now. So there's no way the game coded to run on a 3 was going to run on a 4 and vice versa.
Yeah, but even when people bought, like, the digital PlayStation 3 versions, you still had to buy the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 digital version, didn't you?
Yeah, you did, and I could make an argument there of, because it's a different format, like different architectures, there was actually genuinely different coding put into place to be able to build the 2 different versions. If they stick to an x86 version, it's literally just the difference between coding for a high-end PC versus a low-end PC. You would be realistically developing one version of the game that has different graphics settings. So why in that situation would you actually need to do 2 different versions if there's at least some reason that PS3 and PS4 games, even digital copies, you weren't given both. I think most of that completely goes out the window when you start talking about the next generation after the current one.
Yep. Is Raymond falling asleep?
No.
Anyway, sorry Nick, I think jumped over you there. And what have you been playing for the last couple of weeks?
Hey, not much apart from the online stuff, really.
So you're saying that Battlefield and WoW have been the only real things taking your time?
Yeah, mostly just life's been getting in the way, really. Haven't had a chance to really properly play anything.
That's right, Nick, you and I relived our days of, oh shit, what was it called? What's the name of it? One on the PlayStation 4. We played it the other night.
Didn't relive it terribly well, did you?
I haven't played it so well, I completely forgot the name of it. Nick,
Broforce?
on tip of my tongue. Broforce! Got it, thank you. On tip of my tongue, and then you got it for me, thank you. So yeah, and so in a way, Nick, if you remember, we played that game, how long would it have been? A year and a half, 2 years ago?
No, we played it when I was last up.
I think we played it a few times. But that one's always a good feel, because everyone's
you forget all the levels.
Oh, exactly. And we also realized they introduced new characters, like Broly. He's freaking amazing. But yeah. So basically, what happened was, Nick and I decided, because every time we've ever played that game, we've played it locally, so lag and all that's been a huge problem. But this time around, well, obviously there's a good 6 hours between us, and not exactly worth it bridging the gap to play a game.
Run
so
away
we tried
the entire way.
play. And online play was okay. We didn't notice anything too much at first, but over time the lag started to build up, and it got to the point where Nick and I thought, oh, we're doing well, and all of a sudden one of us would drop down dead and the other one would be running ahead. On his screen, I was still alive. On my screen, I was very much dead. And we realized just how much of a pain it was. And it didn't help that we were overzealous and jumped straight to the highest friggin' difficulty and said, yeah, let's go. We know how to play this game. Not factoring in lag.
That hasn't bitten us in the arse recently either in other games.
Not at all. Not at all.
Diablo!
Important to start up on the high difficulties and work your way down.
Exactly. And that on that same premise is our gaming experience. We know that if we set ourselves a high bar, we'll play to it. Not talking shit at all.
Not talking ourselves up.
Yeah, no, in terms of other games, it's not really. I've been trying to get into Red Dead, but the amount of stuff you can do in that game, I actually have to almost go away and make a schedule or plan of what I want to do before I start.
That's something you and I should do, to be honest, because I think you played more than me at this point, but I played up to the first camp, and honestly, I looked around all the shit I could do and just basically went, slept, and logged off. I just couldn't choose what I wanted to do, and I thought, you know what, this is a bit too much to take in for this time of night. I left. I thought, I'll come back and do it in a couple of days. I came back, logged on, looked around again, and thought, I'll do this. Started talking to someone, realized, oh shit, they need me to do what? I thought, you know what, this is still too much. I walked away and logged off again.
You're paralysed by the raw quantity of decisions.
Oh,
there was so much shit to do.
Yeah, I started playing at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon one time, and it got to like probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and all I'd done was 2 missions and killed some guy who cussed at me.
Did your horse accidentally kill you or get killed?
No. I was walking past some guy who was in, I'm assuming, another gang. And he said, "Oh, you better keep walking." So naturally, I walked back towards him. Yep. And then he was like, and then I defused the situation first, and he's like, "Okay." Then I walked away and came back about 5 minutes later, and the guy cussed at me again. So I just went up and beat him up.
I see.
And then took their guns, money, and that was about it.
And did the people cheer, or did they cringe and call you a criminal?
A passerby went and found a sheriff.
Oh, yeah?
We call Nick a criminal for other reasons.
Fair point.
That's right. I'd skinned a bear as part of some legendary hunt or something, and found this woman on the side of the road whose horse had carked it. Helped her out, and then said, "Oh, can you take me back to town?" Looked at the horse and went, "Do you want to sit on the bear skin?" And she said no. So I told her,
tied her up and put her on your back, your horse.
Like, I couldn't. There was bear skin there.
Wait, so you actually had to choose between doing that thing for her or taking your bear skin?
Yep, and I chose the bear skin.
Well, they're probably worth more.
Because when I took it to the dude, the dude told me it was good. I kept it because it was going to help me make stuff later on.
Meanwhile, she's sitting back there, probably.
She's hitchhiking. Probably still to this day.
I mean, you should have just killed her, put her out of misery.
Wow.
I mean, she could have dropped a legendary weapon.
Well, the thing is, she was a stranger, and the fact that her horse was dead made me think that either she'd killed it or anything else. So I just sort of just left her be.
What type of woman did she look like?
The woman kind.
Did she look like the sort that would hang out at a brothel, or did she look like a more of a classy type?
Wow.
Like she would hang out at a high class.
I haven't played this far in the game.
You are treading a very dangerous line.
I'm curious because I haven't played this far in the game. I haven't seen a proper woman yet.
Haven't you?
It's been a while since I've seen a proper woman
yet.
In the game, no.
You don't know what a woman is.
I have to emphasize this: the game.
Okay, there you go.
So go ahead, Nick.
Oh no, I'm still laughing about that.
Don't worry, it's all recorded. We can play.
But no, I don't know what she was. She had the horse laying on top of her leg, so I'm assuming either she whacked it over the ears and it collapsed.
I mean,
or something.
Let's face it, the horses in those games are so fragile. The moment anything touches them, they go flying, or they just drop dead.
That was the bit that happened after the fact. So after I left her in the dust, and just gone and sold my fur, I was running back to town and accidentally did a head-on collision with another horse.
Oh, I've heard those go pretty badly.
I went flying about 10 meters ahead. My horse just came to a dead stop, but naturally was on the floor.
Oh, that's impressive.
And the dude,
Just like a real horse crash.
and the dude who was on the other horse got off and just started swearing his head off at me, and I'm like, okay, like to try to diffuse a situation as you do when if you had a car crash, effectively.
So you didn't antagonize?
No. I tried to defuse, and then he pulled
Drunk
it.
Anton entered your channel home.
Hello.
He pulled out a drunk Anton. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an analogy. Continue.
No, he pulled out his gun, so naturally I thought diffusing the situation has gone.
Oh,
wrong.
was the gun called Drunk Anton?
No, it was a pistol. So naturally, what I did was I pulled out my gun.
Oh. Wait, hang on. Wait. Did you pull it out, or did you get ready to have a standoff?
No. He was already shooting.
Ah, so no. Did you do Deadeye at least and make it a worthy kill?
Oh, there were
There
were a couple of random buttons hit. Like I was jumping instead of shooting. It was quite a surprise.
You juked him. He was flustered.
And then I killed him, and then I looked to my right, and here was a guy on his horse wandering up. I said, "What's going on here?" And I said, and my naturally looked at him and used the option to say nothing's wrong here. The guy's just having a sleep.
Oh,
And then he turns and starts bolting, and at top right hand corner says, "Witness murderer."
So what you're saying is he didn't believe you?
Yeah. So I had to kill him too.
Oh, jeez. Wait.
No survivors, no witnesses. Don't you know how this works?
I was going to say...
So naturally I didn't get caught by the cops, but I did kill about 3 people in total. And then made a bolt forward when I saw someone coming around the side. I was going to actually move the body. Put one on the back of the horse, and then that was when the third guy showed up. It was just becoming a bit of a shit show.
I'm sensing that Red Dead can be a combination of Assassin's Creed, where you kill those who need it, and Hitman, where you hide them afterwards.
There's nowhere to hide them in the open.
You put them in the watering troughs.
Really, hide them in the open.
You could probably put... Yeah, that's what I mean. It's the open. You can't hide them.
Let's dissect these words.
Probably
hide open.
I'm sure there was one tree, and I did try to sit a guy up against it. Make it look like he was having a snooze. Maybe an apple fell on his head and killed him. But no, that didn't work. So all I did was I got on my horse and sprinted, and then watched 3 other people heading that way towards the bodies. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going back there.
Did you say to them, "Good day, fine day, isn't it?"
I did.
And keep going.
I did, and the guy's like, "Hi, nice day to you too." I'm like, "Yep, don't go."
Did you hear a scream in the back? Oh my god!
No, I was long gone. That's my experience across 4 hours.
Jeez, I mean, I have to admit, that does sound like quite a lot.
Yeah, it took a while.
I mean, it sounds like you buried yourself in your own by responding to that guy in the first place. I feel like it would have been avoided, because how long was that ordeal? I imagine it would have been like half an hour to get out of that damn situation.
Yeah, but in my defense, I was on the right. Like, I was on the left side of the road.
Oh, I thought you better say you were in the right. I was going to say, Nick, you're the player.
Americans,
You're never in the
you
right.
idiot. They ride on the right.
Oh, yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Well, arguably
stupid.
it's a dirt road. I didn't exactly see a dotted line.
No, there normally is.
That's not how the road rules work.
That's really not how the road rules work. Have you ever driven in the country?
No,
Half the roads don't have any lines on them.
this is why playing Need for Speed, Nick always had cops following him.
Oh, yeah. Was he driving on the left?
Oh, yeah.
I was in Need for Speed before.
Look, I was parked in Need for Speed and cops were just chasing me.
Look, I tried Need for Speed without a controller. Don't.
Yeah,
Ooh.
don't.
I drove forward with W and S, and I'm like, okay, let's turn left, pressed A, nothing happened, drove straight into a wall. I'm like, well.
Is it
A
your
and
mouse?
D are actually your techs, your guns and weapons and stuff.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
is it your mouse that defines
Nope,
where...
nope.
No,
Mouse does
left and
nothing.
right arrow.
The mouse does absolutely
Oh.
nothing.
Left and right arrows
Your
would
mouse
make
doesn't
sense.
work in Need for Speed.
Yep.
That
So,
sounds awkward.
Left and right on the arrows is to turn left and right. The up and down arrows is to look forward and backwards.
And
Page
W and
up,
S
page
are
down,
accelerate
menus.
and brake, aren't they?
Home and end to go through the map menus.
Mhm.
Press X to look at your progress. Press Enter to accept a mission.
Page up and page down were to go between your different options.
Yeah, didn't
Ugh.
like it at all. I hated it. I
Yeah,
did manage
same.
to change my license plate to Mark Gay. Um, and then I got a message politely informing me that I'm not allowed to play online because profanity says no. And
really?
then the game seized up and crashed.
Well, there you go. You officially broke the game by using a bad word.
Naughty, yeah, because bad word.
Yeah, Mark is offensive to some people.
Yep. It's against my religion.
Against my religion.
Well, in my experience, something is profanity.
I need to
Look,
pay!
extremely off topic, but I'm assuming most of you's Android phone people?
No,
No.
Actually, I think there's more iPhone than Android in here.
Yes.
I agree.
Suck shit then, because
Hmm.
there was massive viruses on apps in Android. 560,000 people downloaded malicious apps.
Ooh.
Oh, with that name, why would you download it?
No, the
Oh,
names
please,
were
man.
just random car games, like extreme sports car driving, city traffic moto racing.
They don't name the virus malicious virus.
And
Well, you never
basically just as soon as you download it, it just disappeared.
Interesting. Well, that's just another reason why I don't play games on my phone.
Same. I only play RuneScape Mobile.
Yes. But hang on, do you play that on your phone or do you play it on like an iPad?
Phone. It's really annoying because I have fat fingers.
I was gonna say, is it compatible with iPad and all that as well?
Yeah. Not my iPad, because I have an outdated, 6-7-year-old iPad that doesn't get updated by Apple anymore.
Yeah, because that's where they do their business.
Well, Anton, you've joined and remained pretty well silent, but did you want to say anything?
Play
You
any
say
games
that,
recently?
but he's been poking me.
Oh, well. Anton, did you want to stop poking Mark and say anything?
Not particularly.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay, we've got him recorded saying something. That's the main thing.
Words were said. It was indeed multiple words as well.
And you've used up quota of the month.
The entire month's quota is now gone. We have charged you for this text message.
And for more words, purchase my $9.99 DLC.
And Mark has now timed out. You okay there, Mark?
Yeah, I just must out a spike. Everything just closed.
Alright, well. I think we've been running at this for an hour and a half now, guys, so
Yeah, solid effort.
did anybody want to add any more, or shall we wrap up our first one?
I'm pretty satisfied with what we've done.
I'm satisfied with you, big boy.
Not with
I'm
the
back.
conversations we've been having, please.
I'm back.
Do you have a problem, Luke? Do you need to be sent to a lower channel?
Please
Send
no.
him!
Let's not get that recorded.
Send him to the tickle chamber!
We
actually, that would be a
actually
tank
need to have a random number generator just to have it for these things, you know.
Russian
Where-
roulette. Which dungeon will we get sent to?
Where will it stop? No one knows. Will it be the cock block or will it be the doghouse?
Oh god.
Mark makes a very valid point.
Alright. Well, we'll wrap it up this time, guys. My current semi-hope is that this becomes a sort of probably monthly thing, given our track record.
I'll give you a fucking month in a second.
It'd probably be
Hey?
good if we do it by monthly as well, because it would give us enough time to investigate. Both play games and see what the community has to say about some of the more popular ones and
As
least
long as we
popular
can
ones.
call it, some Raiders talk shit.
Well,
Yes,
if
because
we
that's
go off what we've
exactly.
done so far.
Can we call it Some Raiders Monthly?
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh. There's no problem with that at all. No problem at all.
Monthly rampage.
Monthly Raiders.
And what's it called? The Woman's Day. Something Raiders Day.
No.
Yeah, how about no?
How about yes?
Well, you could call it Some Raiders once a month.
Sometimes we raid once a month.
Monthly Raiders Cameron Coon.
What?
What?
It's an adaptation of an anime title. I
Cameron Coon? That's really racist.
Coon, however you want to pronounce it, I don't really much care.
Okay, guys.
You either called Cameron a block of... You either called Cameron a block of cheese or a very derogatory term.
No. I'll spell it out
Cheese
for you.
is good.
K-U-N.
Oh, Coon.
No, that's not how you spell coon.
You said Coon, like the cheese. Coon. Not Coon. Fuck yeah. It's the insult.
Is it really?
You weeb.
Weeboo?
Weeb. That's it.
Actually, that's sad because Luke's like the most weeaboo person in here.
And you said
You're disappointed that I can't that I say something like that wrong. I don't get. I don't
we
get.
need Shani in here so she can slap you upside the face and do it correctly.
What?
Shani had all those words down pat. Those anime words.
That's good. I don't use them on a daily basis.
Are you sure? No, you gotta work.
You use it on an hourly basis.
Luke has in fact used it within meetings 7 times this week.
Luke has a manager and he says senpai.
Luke refers to his boss as senpai. Oh.
He's like, notice me, senpai? I made good reports.
Let's not.
Senpai.
Oh dear.
Alright, guys.
Please, thank you for watching, you lovely 3 people. And I hope you notice us. Oh, look, I mean...
Is it increased?
It's increasing. Every time Luke says senpai, it increases by 1.
It increases every time I press refresh.
It also decreases every time he says coon.
You know, I'm gonna when I watch this, I'm gonna skip to the end of the video to see if this bit made it.
I hope it did. Thank you so much. I mean, I think it will make it because we haven't given Cameron the chance to say goodbye properly.
No, this is totally staying in at the moment because
hopefully he's recorded his ending so he can put it in a more appropriate place. Like that little point where there's a little bit of silence, just where it's like, perfect, this is the greatest place to end it, and then
yes, just random cut
started.
here. Like, oh my god, there's half a second of nothing. Cut!
Cut it, quick! End it so
before the drill
abruptly
comes
no
out.
one will know.
Alrighty.
No one will know Luke's shame. His manager doesn't notice him.
This is where we find out that Luke's co-workers actually watched this.
Oh, fuck!
I would be impressed. I would be impressed if they did. Because it would give me something to talk about with them.
Impressed or depressed?
Both.
It's funny you say that Luke's co-workers don't notice him. Didn't Luke say the other day that they turn the lights off on him at the end of the day?
They do, and when I do a shout out, notice me, senpai! And then I get the door shut in my face.
Oh, we just got another viewer. Let's go. Thank you very much. I'm gonna go crash Need for Speed like 5 more times now, so...
Alright, thanks for coming everyone. And we'll talk again next month, hopefully.
See you all.
Hope you're watching, Mr. Idaho. Bye!
No.
But
Bye.